Hi, I'm your host, Safitya Songhai, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Let's Talk Film, a film review series for women which allows their contemporary voices to be heard on all types of film releases. And today, we'll be reviewing the historical drama 12 Years a Slave, based on a book by Solomon Northrup, with a screenplay by John Ridley and directed by British filmmaker Steve McQueen. We're shooting here at Amuse Wine Bar, created by wine lovers for wine lovers. It's located on Ludlow Street between Rivington and Delancey on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. This is an area known for its distinctive downtown flavor and nightlife. And with its affordable yet extensive wine list and exceptional happy hour, Amuse Wine Bar has become a local neighborhood favorite. Let's have a glass and learn a little more. This is John. And tell us about what you do here, John.
I'm the bar manager here, and I'm here 4 nights a week on the weeknights. Help run all the beer and the wine that we run.
So you have an international wine list, and tell us what that means in terms of that part.
We try to keep it as international as possible. We do the same thing with beers. We have wines from Croatia, we have wines from Serbia, we have wines from Argentina, Spain, of course, France, the U.S.
What, do you have a happy hour? Do you have an event?
Yeah, we do happy hour on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We do happy hour all night. Okay. So that goes till close, midnight. And we kind of change up the selection, but it's always a house red, a house white. And right now we have Prosecco on tap. Okay. And also Cava is on the happy hour. And then we do beers on happy hour too. One draft and one bottle. And those rotate.
And what are your hours of operation overall?
We're open on Sunday through Thursday from 3 to midnight. And Friday and Saturday we're open from 3 to 2 a.m. Okay.
What's the experience that you want people to walk away with? What's the ambiance?
The ambiance is you want to be able to come in here and do exactly what we're doing. And be able to chat and talk and, you know, little pockets of low lighting so you can sit, and especially as we get into wintertime. It's a nice place to relax. It's not... you know, you're not coming here and getting bombarded with sports and news and you know, the music is always
jazz, mellow.
It's jazz, blues, and stuff like that. A lot of instrumental. This neighborhood has got a really rich history of live music and art, and I mean, I'm also an artist myself. We have a lot of we share space upstairs with with an art space. It's also a performance venue. Right next door to us is an art gallery also. It's actually an art collective. We also rotate artist pieces in here. Right. So we actually use this space as a gallery.
So you have photography, you have paintings, you have a mix of everything. So people can buy it off the wall.
Absolutely.
So please come out to Amuse Wine Bar. It's right next to the F train. It's like a block and then you take a right. Real easy to get to. And it is not just like classy and elegant, it has peaceful, calm music. So it's a great date place. It's a great after work place. You can legitimately unwind and not get wound back up. Yeah, like, you know, sports bars and all that kind of stuff. So it's brand new and it needs you to be a new patron. So come on out Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The party keeps popping, but it's also here Monday to Thursday till midnight. So bottoms up. We're here with our first panelist, Rachel Byrd. Hello. Rachel Byrd is an actress, a director, and producer from New York. She recently graduated from Harvard University, where she made her own major centered around black film and theater. Her recent production credits include the New York Times 20 Directors to Watch video for Terrence Nance and the opening title sequence for the upcoming Fox Searchlight film Black Nativity, directed by Casey Lemons. Her self-directed short film, Mirror 21, is also airing on Aspire TV in January as part of the American Black Film Festival. And our next panelist is Dami Akinnusi. Hi. Dami Akinnusi is an award-winning filmmaker from the UK, the director of Malcolm's Echo, The Legacy of Malcolm X, which is a winner of the African Movie Academy Awards. She's also a broadcast journalist and host of a TV show called Ancestor House. With her production company, Darkling, Dami has interviewed some of the world's most influential people, including hip-hop royalty Chuck D of Public Enemy. Her current project is 99% occupied. Today, we'll be reviewing the historical film 12 Years a Slave, based on the book by Solomon Northrup, with a screenplay by John Ridley and directed by Steve McQueen. This year, we've had an influx of films about the experiences of people of color that have reached the mainstream market, such as The Butler, Mother of George, Fruitvale Station, and now 12 Years a Slave. Do you see this as a renaissance of black film or merely lucky timing?
I think the timing right now is such that this can be a black film renaissance, for lack of a better term.
Let's claim it. We're gonna claim it.
I think it can be.
Yeah.
We have so many influential black people of power from all over the diaspora, like you said, in all different positions, as directors, as writers, as producers, as actors, that I think the more that we continue to band together and support each other and be the writers of our own work and the actors in our own work and the executive producers of our fellow black entertainers' work, that we can make this whatever we want. I mean, it always goes back to the question of who has the power. You know, is it lucky timing? Does that mean that certain distributors have all gotten together in a room and are saying, let's put out a lot of black films? I don't know. I'm not in that.
They
room.
might be.
I can't be.
Well, I mean, I'm really glad that you mentioned distribution, because in my mind, that's what you know. The lucky timing of it is. I think we've just been creating. We've always been creating, and I don't necessarily believe in sort of luck in that sense. And I think the timing is just right, and I think that it's also a consciousness. I think there's a change in consciousness that's not just come from people of color that are saying like, we're ready to tell our own stories and we're going to do it ourselves, but it's actually coming from people who are celebrating us as well, who are just people of different hues or racist ethnic groups who are like, I'm interested in what you've got to say and your story because I'm a diverse person who enjoys people.
I think the other thing that makes this experience that we're having, this cinematic experience this year, more of a this serendipitous coming together of the perfect time. I think it's centered more around timing than a black renaissance. I think it's fair to say that because the content that our people are putting out is just, a lot of these movies, the specific movies that you mentioned, have been far more superior in terms of just good content than other things that happen to be out at the same time, which is why this phenomenon, I hate to use that word, that's why I'm getting tripped up, I would attribute it more to timing than a new black renaissance.
See, the films 12 Years a Slave, The Butler, and Django are all films that depict historical narratives and were greenlighted by Hollywood, but many in the African American community feel that in making these choices, Hollywood hinders rather than advances the ability to present new black narratives. Okay, what are your thoughts on that?
Slavery is part of the black narrative, period. If Hollywood wants to choose to only greenlight stories of our people that have to do with slavery, that's on Hollywood. They can choose to, the people with the money, again, the distributors, the executives can choose to greenlight whatever projects they wish, but our people, and people all across the board, are creating content that reflects all different walks of black life.
So I think that every generation has to be taught again and again, about how this all began. So you can't just, show them films from 30, 40 years ago. You have to make a new version that they can attach to and then be taught that lesson. So go ahead. So what do you think?
My thing is, if you really have a problem with Hollywood and how Hollywood
get in the game,
envisions our story as black people, then make some films and
make a film or help us make films.
No, I mean seriously, like
put your money where your mouth is and help us make better movies.
Hollywood, all of these, if we're talking about economics, Nollywood, Bollywood, these economic streams which are far out doing Hollywood. So
we're not the only.
Why
it's not the only place.
Attached and complaining to like, oh, Hollywood, they say this and that means we have to react and feel an emotional connection to what their response and view is. We already know slavery took place. So, like, there's going to be a particular view, and some people's minds haven't changed. Let's get off the boat of complaining and let's go make our stuff and take it to a place where people want to see that stuff. And people have money to.
The film Roots was based on a book by Alex Haley, as 12 Years a Slave is based on a book by Solomon Northrup, both of which depicted events of the antebellum era. Do you see similarities in these two films? And if not, how do they differ?
I think 12 Years a Slave, the biggest thing for me was that it was more narrowed on a singular person's experience. And provided we got to spend some time with other characters on plantations, other characters who were traveling by boat. But Roots, I think, is centralized. I mean, clearly there's a main character, but I felt like we got to spend more time with each person's slave experience, as opposed to this one was kind of Solomon Northrup's slave experience. And by effect, we got to kind of experience the other people around him.
Obviously, with Roots, I felt, and I watched it, as a young person, and that was my first real experience of like, this is really what could have happened and taken place. So watching this now, 12 Years a Slave, it really feels that we really, for me anyway, I felt like I had this real kind of like understanding, or more of an understanding of the psychosis of the European mind. And that's what really came across to me. And it was so bam in your face. Well, I would realize, I could understand why people might not like the film on that basis, because it really does show that deep down within, like, you know, what were the mechanics that allowed for something so horrific to take place in our history. And this is all of our history. You know, it's not a black or white history. This is a human history.
What were your thoughts on the antithetical juxtaposition of faith and human cruelty visualized throughout the film? So there's faith, human cruelty.
Oh my goodness.
Like sanctioned by the good book. Yeah, that was a big part throughout the entire film.
That was one of, in addition to the beauty of it contrasted with the horror that I'm seeing, that was one of the strongest takeaways for me, was the psychology of it.
Yeah.
How are you sitting and indoctrinating your slaves on the practice of spiritual law when you are negating everything human about them and everything human in yourself?
Yes.
It was just it was just beyond me. It was beyond. I couldn't believe.
Yeah.
You know, it was just almost. It made me wonder whether or not the slave owners at that time, or wives of slave owners, were aware of just the farce that it was. You know, slaves having a Sabbath, or getting dressed up for church, and then following these kind of just totally empty ordeals, and then all of a sudden being boots and not children of God. It was so reductive because they stripped us of having anything else to believe in or rely on. We had nothing else to read, no other kind of doctrine to believe in. So I'm wondering if that's kind of what supported the psychology of slaves in the field singing Negro spirituals to the same God.
And that was beautiful. But that richness of their voices was just amazing. I mean, that part of it, the part where we take what they gave us and then we turn it into something that fuels us, fuels our motivation, you know, to go on and
African heritage right there, you know, and it's and the legacy is so rich that you know, the connection between Africa, you know, is still obvious.
Can't shake it.
In the 1800s, and
can't shake it.
And you know, so it's an incorporation of everything that has been laid upon them, and then everything that they know genetically and within their minds, and what's being passed on. And
they know genetically.
I think he did such a great job to show that there was still this African legacy, despite the fact that they've been
can't be shaken. Yeah, even with the brainwashing, they still got back to it. What do you think is the most valuable achievement in this film?
Definitely the stillness. Steve McQueen allows you to sit in a time and a place, such like no other slavery film that I've seen. That it'll be a scene and something crazy is happening. There's a whipping scene, and I'm talking about unusual other slavery films, and then it's over, and you know, people are getting healed, and there's another scene. There's another scene. I've never seen a film that allows you to literally sit with a single character in whatever hellish moment that they're experiencing for however long it takes. I thought that was a very strong and brave choice on his part, but I really got the sense of time passing. And it's great. I really love that it's called 12 Years a Slave anyway, but because it made me, you know, you're sitting, and after a while you're like, this is the reality. The movie's not going to move past this. Like, we're going to be sitting here.
And you don't know when it's going to end for you. You don't know.
It made you, it translated the reality of the day in the life of a slave being just, you know, without electronics, without a concept of time, just sun up, sun down, same thing over again and again.
Seasons
and again.
changing.
Every
That's about
second
it.
feeling like an hour, feeling like a year, and that's what the weight of it in terms of time.
So greatest achievement, time, greatest achievement.
I think for me the greatest achievement, even though I want to say it's the film, but it's everything as well that's gone into making the film. It's the fact that, you know, the director is a black director, and a British director at that, which is cool. But you know, and it's a magnificent film, and also that not only is he a black director, but the lead is a black lead, Chiwetel Ejiofor. These are two things that don't go together.
And the screenplay writer, is black also. We never see this.
There's so much that has gone into this, and then the support that has come from elsewhere with all the other exec producers on board and everything, that there's a willingness to tell the story, and to me that's the genius of this moment, to appreciate this moment, that, you know, there's this willingness to say, okay, this is a joint history, and it might be a little bit painful on the side of whether, depending on the color of your skin, but it's a joint history, and finally it feels like it's been given a certain type of respect that we give to the Jewish Holocaust, for example. And so, you know, as we see Schindler's List, we now see 12 Years a Slave, and I really feel like, you know, it's a film that, because there's so many people talking about it, whether they like it, they hate it, it's really put the conversation right out there, and it's also elevated who we are as actors, performers, writers, you know, all of these things into something which is not only, you know, a thematic like experience of the horrors of our existence and the beauty of our existence, but like just great filmmaking and storytelling. Just, you know, and so Oscars, here we go.
I know, Oscars, here we come. Yes,
has raised the bar.
I think it did. I think, and also, you know, the thing what you just said is that it's, to me, it's one of the first Pan-African films. We have a Black European director. We have a Black American screenplay writer. We have Chiwetel Ejiofor, who's Nigerian and, you know, has made his career in the United States. We have African actors. We have Black American actors. We have West Indian actors who are all playing roles where this is how we ended up being what we are. This is how we ended up in all these places, is because of this one point. And we've never seen a film with this many Black people from all over the diaspora converging on such an epic piece. That's, to me, the greatest achievement. Like, nothing can top that. We have to make films like that from now on. Thanks so much to our panelists for coming out and talking to us about 12 Years a Slave, giving your insights. And thank you so much, John McCormick, for inviting us out to the Amuse wine bar out here on 121 Ludlow. We had a beautiful time here in your elegant establishment. And we've also been talking about 12 Years a Slave, which is a book by Solomon Northrup, and it was written by John Ridley and directed by Steve McQueen. And you are watching Let's Talk Film, so please come back, hang out with us on www.letstalkfilmdotcom. I'm your host for the day, Safitya Songhai, and thanks for watching.